Hey guys, my name's Kent Gardner. I own Kent's Mobile Welding and Fabrication out of Shelley, Idaho. And, I get to talk to a lot of kids, guys in school or whatever, guys that are trying to figure out what they want to do for a living. And a lot of them, when they find out that I am a welder, they ask me a lot of questions about how to get into welding, what they can do to move up, stuff like that. So I put together kind of a list of stuff that you can do. If you're in a weld shop now, or you're looking to get into a weld shop, and you're trying to figure out a way to move up in the shop, maybe you kind of feel like you're stonewalled in there, like you're not really going anywhere. There might be a couple things that you might be a little bit blind to. So these are going to be basically questions that I'm answering about how to earn more money welding, how to move up in a weld shop, and how to get more respect in trades in general, not just welding. I've been a certified welding inspector, AWS, CWI, for 5 years now. I've been welding for a total of about 25 years. I was a journeyman machinist for 15 years during the same time that I was doing a lot of welding. And, so I've been in the metal trades for almost 30 years of my life. I'm 51 years old. And so I own my own business now doing it. It's just a small one-guy shop. I do mobile welding, repair on everything. But I've done a lot of different types of welding. I've done everything from, working on mining equipment, doing that kind of repair work, pipe welding, both code pipe welding, irrigation pipe welding. I've done tube welding in power plants. I've had 27 different weld certifications. And, everything from, just super alloy TIG type certifications all the way to just, basic stick, plate, structural, all different kinds of welding. So, I don't know, I don't claim to be the best welder in the world or the most knowledgeable welder in the world, but I've been in the trade long enough to know what works and what doesn't as far as how to move up in a shop. So, I think the very first thing that I would tell a guy, if you want to move up in a shop and the boss says be there at 6, if you can't be on time, be 10 minutes early. I mean, if you can't be on time, there's no boss in the world that's going to put up with you for long. So, be reliable. So be on time, be on time all the time, be there sober and ready to work when you're supposed to. So that's probably the main thing. If you're working in a weld shop now, I'm not saying this is every shop, but most shops, you look around and there's, let's say there's 10 guys in the shop, probably 6 of them are pretty knowledgeable, or maybe even 4. Maybe 40% of the guys are pretty knowledgeable, and the rest of the guys are either trying to move up or they're just stagnant. They don't really want to move up. They're just happy with where they're at. And you have to kind of set yourself apart from those guys if you plan on moving up. You can't just sit there and hope that you're going to gain knowledge by assimilation, because it's not going to happen. Working with journeymen, you're going to gain a certain amount of knowledge, but you're going to have to work for it. And don't think that you're going to be able to take some kind of a shortcut deal to becoming a journeyman anything, because that's not the way that it works. You got to put in your time and learn the processes of your particular trade, whether it's plumbing, glazing, pipe fitting, I don't care, welding, machining, anything. You're going to have to put in your time. The second time that I would say would be to be honest. If you tell somebody something, just make sure it's the truth, because nobody puts up with a liar for very long. And I'm not just saying about just general whatever. I'm saying don't take a penny from a guy unless you've earned it from him. So, don't go there, don't lie on your time card, don't tell BS stories about, oh yeah, I double checked this and you didn't. If it's not true, then don't say it. And the next big thing is work safe. It seems like a lot of kids, especially when they come into the trades, they think that for some reason being dangerous somehow makes you cooler, and that's just stupid, you know. I've seen guys get wrapped up in lathes. I've seen guys, you know, cut themselves pretty bad. I've seen guys fall off of stuff. And there's nothing that's cool about that, you know, when it's happening. So, you know, nothing's going to put you on a short list for getting laid off or fired faster than being unsafe. Especially if you're putting you're putting yourself at risk, first of all. But then you're putting yourself at risk, you're putting your other guys that you work with or people that you work with at risk, and you're putting your company at risk, because a lot of times companies can only bid jobs if their insurance rating is at a certain level. So if you're screwing off all the time and getting hurt or getting other people hurt and making it so they have to pay more for their insurance, they can't bid on certain jobs. So be safe if you want to move up. Work effectively is another thing. So, you know, plan your work and work your plan. Make sure that you take the time to understand what you're doing, so that you can, you know, have your area organized, have it clean, have it all set up so that you can actually work really effectively. I guess there's a certain amount of respect that goes out to guys who just can work really, really hard physically. But if you're not going to be able to work smart, yeah, I mean, any fool can work himself to death. But right now, the trades need people that are able to work effectively. So if you can't figure out how to work effectively, look at some of the guys in your shop that do, and ask questions, or get yourself, you know, get online and study like the 5S system for the lean manufacturing. Look at lean manufacturing. It shows you how to set up a workspace, that kind of stuff, so you can work effectively. And then if you really want to move up fast and get paid more, you need to volunteer. You need to volunteer for overtime, volunteer for emergency work, because you're helping the company out. You're helping your foreman out. If he doesn't have to fight to find someone to work, it's a real benefit to him. And you know, if you're, I mean, you know, the saying goes, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You're helping each other, so you know, he'll feel more anxious to give you a raise when the time comes around, if he knows he can rely on you when there's work that comes up. Now, there's a bunch of other stuff that I have written down too. One of the things, a lot of guys, you know, they get into the trades because they feel like they're not cut out to go to college, you know, like get a 4-year degree or whatever. But I think it's important, if you can go into a tech school or trade school or whatever and say, hey, I want to take night classes to learn how to TIG weld, or I want to take night classes to learn how to do flux core or stick welding pipe or whatever. You know, there's a lot of courses at trade schools or technical colleges to be able to do that. So if you can get some education in it, you're going to move up faster. But don't think that just because you took a course at trade school that you're going to be able to demand a higher wage just right out of the chute. You're going to have to prove yourself. You know, a lot of guys, in fact, I'm just going to tell you a story. I was a foreman at a shop here in Idaho Falls for a couple of years. I was the night shift foreman. And I had this guy that would come in, and the guy had been a journeyman, union pipe fitter and pipe welder, had really good skills, but he was consistently doing half of the work that all these other guys were. Same exact work. We were just doing a bunch of spools, and this guy was just doing half of what everyone else would do. And so I had to call him out on it. I was a night shift foreman. I was like, dude, what's going on, man? You're doing half of the work that everyone else is. And I know you got the skills. I know you know what you're doing. And he said, he just looked, point blank, looked me in the face and goes, man, these guys don't pay me enough to work hard. And that's the kind of attitude that got that guy fired. Because, nobody gives a damn what you think about how good you are. The only way you're going to get any respect in the trades is to be able to do what you need to be able to do. You know, nobody comes in demanding respect and gets it. So just be willing, like I said, don't try to take any shortcuts. You got to work to get good in the trades, and you got to work to get paid in the trades. I'm not saying that if you're just getting screwed by your boss all the time, that you shouldn't look for another job. But take every place that you work as a stepping stone and learn and grow and try to get better at whatever you're doing in that trade. The other thing that I've been seeing a lot of is guys will show up in gear that's not even appropriate for what they're doing. They'll be wearing totally lightweight stuff, or they'll be wearing, now they have all the steel-toed boot, they call them boots, steel-toed shoes, and they think that that's going to work in a weld shop when you're, dropping slag bombs on your feet and all the time. And, do a little bit of research into what you need to wear so that you're not putting yourself in danger. I already talked about keeping your area clean. Another thing, don't come in there and cop an attitude about stuff, especially if you're the new guy. But even if you've been there for 20 years and you're still trying not to, you're still being a jackass to everyone around you, they ought to fire you, because you're not helping anybody out. So be friendly and polite to people. They're just there trying to make a living, trying to support a family like you are. So, if everyone gets along, it works better. The old adage, measure twice, cut once. You can never go wrong doing that. So double check your own work before QC does. These are just some of the things that if you can learn how to do, then you're going to move up faster. And I think the biggest thing, especially besides safety and being on time and being honest and stuff like that, make sure that you are trying to get as much extra time in as you can, not necessarily paid time, but time to practice your skills, like whether it's whether it's wiring, whether it's welding, whether it's machining. When I first started in the trade and started learning how to TIG weld, I put a lot of time in after work. I'd stay into the next shift and just practice for a couple hours every night until I was confident that I could pass a 6G TIG test. And if you're just going to kind of stand around waiting for someone to say, hey, you need to start practicing, you're never going to move up, because nobody in the shop is there trying to figure out how to make you move up. If you want to move up, it's on you. So go to your foreman or your lead guy and say, hey, man, I want to learn how to do better at TIG welding. Do you mind if I stay into the next shift? Or can I come early? Or can I stay a little bit after and practice my, practice a weld procedure or whatever? I think it's just, it's difficult for the trades right now because, you got a lot of these old hands that are getting out of the trade, and they are, a lot of these companies are struggling to find new tradesmen. So there's a huge wide open field for guys if they want to get into the trades. I mean, you can make good money, and you can learn a lot of skills. You can make a lot of really super good friends that are like lifelong friends. And but if you're not willing to work for it, then you're in the wrong deal, because you're gonna have to work for everything you get in these trades. So, I just thought I'd make this thing. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, and I'll try to answer them as quick as I can. Good luck, man. I know sometimes it's really hard when you get into a trade and you're trying to move up, and it just feels like you're not going anywhere. Just, try to keep your head down, work hard, and ask good questions, and you'll move up, and you'll be doing good. With some of the guys that are in the trade, you look around you, and if you're like most shops, when I'm doing weld inspection and stuff like that, I'll go into these shops, and some of the shops, half of these guys, sometimes I wouldn't let them wash my car, but they're in a weld shop welding stuff, and you look around, and if you have a half a head on your shoulders, you'll be able to move up pretty quick if you just, show up on time, sober, dressed correctly, and ready to work, be safe, work effectively, volunteer for doing the stuff that no one else wants to do, and you'll move up fast. And I know that's true. So, like I said, Kent Gardner with Kent's Mobile Welding and Fabrication out of Shelley, Idaho. And good luck, guys. Hope you move up quick. Be safe.